Hey y'all, welcome to Angie Motivates 101. And this video is quite interesting and I cannot wait for us to go into it. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we come with the bangers. Y'all know your girl in school. She's a whole business owner and trying to be a YouTuber. So it's a lot. So I haven't been freaking over this side with videos, but I'm gonna get it together. I'm gonna try to get it together, okay? So today's video is gonna be about why the young people leaving the church. Why do young people might leave the church? I don't want y'all to be naive to this question because y'all know for a fact that young people live in the church, but it could also be two ways. So we're gonna talk about that today. Remember, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you share the link with your people. In other words, be sure to share the link with the other folks. So let's go straight into the video. Right? So I speak with my hands, okay? So y'all just be with me. And again, y'all know that this series, Unlearn to Learn, is raw, unedited. I'm not editing anything. So yeah. So what I did, I put on Instagram like a poll and also on Facebook, and I asked the question, why do you think the young people are leaving the church? Y'all, please don't be naive, because y'all know well that the young people are leaving the church. But what are the reasons, or what are some of the reasons why you think that the young people are leaving the church? So I asked this question and a few of you actually responded. So I'm going to be sharing those responses. I'm not going to call on a name because I will not do that, but I'll be sharing the responses. So one person directed me to Twitter, which I personally don't have. Well, I have Twitter, but I'm barely on it. Like, I don't really scroll through Twitter like that. So I did not know that Twitter actually have a hashtag of why I left the church. So I actually went to that. So I'll be sharing some of those posts with you as well. Another person said that they aren't willing to teach and explain things. Is that so? They said that it's like forced teaching instead of actually sitting us down and help us to understand. So in the apostolic and the Pentecostal church, we wear hats, right? So we are told to wear hats, but no one actually teaches us why we need to wear a hat or why we shouldn't wear a hat. Well, to be honest, those who don't wear hats actually teach their people why hat is not a part of you being modest or you being holy or you making it to heaven. While those who traditionally have it to say that we have to wear a hat are not teaching the people. They just tell you, you must wear a hat. For Jamaican, you must wear a hat. You're too disobedient. Honestly, this is what I would say. If you attend a church that wear a hat, wear your hat. Why? Because that is the rule of the house. And if it is told to you to wear a hat and is a part of the church rule or the church manual or whatever way y'all want to put it, just wear the hat. Because if you're disobedient to the shepherd who is ahead of you, that God placed over you to lead you, and you're disobedient to him or her, then you're in the wrong. Because disobedience is a spirit and it's a sin. So if you do not, this is what I would say, if you do, and I'm not telling nobody to leave their church, but if you do not believe in the church rules and the stuff that's going on in your church, then respectfully leave, but do not be disobedient. So if your church don't wear jewelry, don't wear jewelry, just leave. Right? Because you're being disobedient to the shepherd and the leader of your house. You're being disobedient to the house rules. But honestly, though, it's like me inviting you to my house and there's a sign and it says, don't wear your shoes in my house. And you just look upon the sign and you just walk to the house with in your shoes. That's disrespectful. And that's disobedient. That's rude. I'm just saying. So it's like that. If your church says you should wear a hat, wear your hat. If your church says you don't have to wear a hat, then don't wear a hat. Because with all honesty, it is just traditional. And I know a lot of y'all gonna come for me, but it is traditional. But okay. All right. So I do agree that there are forced teaching, so to say. Not even forced teaching. It's like you're shoving food in my mouth that I don't want. It's not that I don't want it, it's that it's not being taught to me. So it's like I'm forced to do something that I have no understanding of. Or if you want the people to do something, or you are a leader and you have a vision, or God has guide you in this direction, and there's certain things that you want to see the people do as they follow the vision that God has given you, then you have to teach them. For example, if you want the people to sow, or you realize that people are not tithing or they're not sowing into the ministry, then the way to go about it is to teach the people how to sow, because perhaps they don't know how to sow. They don't know the importance of tying into the kingdom, right? So you have to teach people how to sow. If you see that the people are not praying, or you see that there is a shift and God revealed to you that, their prayer life is kind of like low, then teach the people about prayer, the importance of prayer, how to pray. That's the way to go. Instead of forcing people to do stuff, you're not going to have, especially the young people of today, they don't like you telling them what to do. And they don't like you forcing them. And I feel like it shouldn't be that way. The way to do it as a leader is to teach the people and they will follow. But if you're not teaching them, how are you really leading them is what I'm trying to understand. If you're not teaching them, how are you leading them? I said what I said. But honestly though, if you are not teaching the people, how are you leading them? Because you preaching to them, it's not you leading them. Because honestly, you preach to win soul. You teach to keep a soul in the kingdom. That's how you lead them, by teaching. So if you're not teaching them, how are you leading them? Okay. Another person said that there's many reasons why. But they said, let's start by the way they look at us if our clothes isn't up to their standards. Wow. I ain't gonna lie. This is true. And we might have to do a part 2 to this because this is heavy. This is true though, because they start looking at you crazy because you might not be wearing the clothes that they want you to wear. And when I say your skirt all the way to your ankle, I feel like you should dress modestly. Your breast shouldn't be out. Your tie shouldn't be out, right? You shouldn't be exposing yourself in any way or form. However, wearing my dress and my skirt all the way to my ankle or over my knee does not indicate that I am modest or I'm being holy. It does not. Because you can wear the long skirt all the way to your ankle, and I won't say it, but you know exactly what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying? So if they're not dressing to your standard, how about you teaching them the importance of modest, or what modest is? And being modest or dressing modesty has nothing to do with the length of your clothes. That's all. Honestly, growing up, I was like, oh, you need to dress modestly. The first thing that comes to our head is the big skirt that does not fit me. I'm not saying that you should wear clothes that is soft onto you tight, where it's literally showing your entire shape and, curve up, because there's certain dresses and certain clothes that when you put it on, it literally shaped out everything. I mean, your private area, your butt, your hips, all of that. I feel like there's a place and a time for that. I'm not married, but I'm not telling you not to dress up for your husband. But what I'm saying, there's certain things and certain clothing that you should not wear to church. Because, and even outside too, even outside of church, I don't feel like you should wear something that literally shapes everything out. Because I've seen it, and I've also worn skirts in the past. I ain't afraid to tell y'all where I'm coming from, because God truly changed me. And I didn't do it to show up any part of me. I bought the skirt because I like the skirt, right? And me putting it on, it's like, oh, it's cute, whatever. I wasn't really looking at, oh yeah, I want to show my butt, or yeah, I want to show how curvy I am, and stuff like that. It had nothing to do with that. I just bought the skirt, or I bought the dress because I like the dress, and that's on that, right? And this is where teaching comes in. This is where the mothers come in and they teach the young lady, because a lot of times we purchase stuff and we don't purchase it just so we just look cute in it and we like how we look cute in it. But when we have another person's perspective of how it looks, then just the other day I did a photo shoot. And I was rushing to do the last session of the photo shoot. I had like 3 minutes and I wanted pictures for my birthday. And I just rushedly put on my clothes on, and it kind of have a split at the knee section. But because I was rushing, I didn't shape or turn the dress the way it should. So it kind of like really showed my leg. So I was like, I saw it, I was like, I can't post it. But I'm like, oh, it's cute though. But I'm like, I can't post this because the saint's gonna say this and the saint's gonna say that. And even though we shouldn't even shape our mind that the saints are going to do that, so we're not going to do it, it should be a personal conviction. And I looked at it, I was like, this is not appropriate. So, and this is why it's also good to have friends who you can keep you accountable. So I texted my friend, I was like, yeah, this picture is cute, but I feel like it's really exposing me and it's doing too much. And it was like, Angelica, do not post this picture, crop it out. And I did just that because I was already convicted that this was not appropriate, right? And I have friends who would hold me accountable as well. That's why it's good to have friends who will hold you accountable. But you have to, is everything that I'm mentioning right now and everything that we'll be talking about in this Unlearn to Learn series is all about teaching the people. Teach them. If something is wrong or you see somebody is doing something wrong, teach them. You don't need to condemn them. You don't have the power or you don't have the authority to condemn anybody. If they're doing something wrong, then you correct them by teaching. Not go over the pulpit and start preaching and say, oh, yeah, young people do that. That's one of the reasons why the young people leave in the church. But I have to do a part 2. But I'm going to explain the whole thing 2 ways this can go. There's a lot of young people that leave the church, and there's a lot of people that leaves the building, which I'll be explaining in another video because this is already a long video and I'm not editing nothing. So let me continue what I was going to say. So instead of coming to us and forming a relationship with us and guiding us in a loving way, instead they turn their nose up on us. And if we step left instead of right, they act as if they lived a right life. I guess that's what they're saying. From the time they came out of they came out of the womb and never made a mistake. Some churches don't cater to the youth or let us take more part in the church besides Youth Friday or Sunday. They are not equipped to the changing of times and what young people go through. Oh, this is a lot. I gotta break this down. This is a lot. I agree that some of the churches today are not equipped to the change of the time. Now, hear me out. God ain't changed. Is the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow, and forevermore. He ain't changed. His word ain't changed. His standards ain't changed. Holiness ain't changed. Modesty ain't changed. But, I feel like some of our leaders are not equipped to deal with the change of the time. We're living in a different time where it's much harder for us to be holy, be modest. It is not about what man says anymore or what the church said to do anymore. It's really about what God says to do. It's really about your relationship with God. Honestly, if you don't have a relationship with God, you're going to lose your way. Back in the days, we used to just go click, talk, whatever our leader said, or it would be so, it used to be hard then, but honestly, it's harder now because we're living in the end times for sure. And we're being faced with so many different stuff and so many different spirit. And I feel like some of the leaders are not equipped and they're not, what's the word? They're not noticing or noticeable of the change and what we're dealing with right now. And because they're not understanding this generation, they're not also equipped. And I don't know, for some reason, it's like they don't want to go to the level of this generation to understand what they're dealing with and then teach them and bring them up to their standards, so to say. It's just like bashing, condemning. That doesn't work. It doesn't. And we're not saying that you need to change what the Bible said or what your standard is. Let me tell you, if the foundation is set, if you have set a foundation for the people and the young people in your church, there's no way they can stray. Because a storm can come right now and blow this house down. But because the foundation is firm, it is unmovable. No matter what storm come down and blow off the roof and the wall and everything, the foundation is not going to move because it's firm. But because we forced, y'all, yeah, I'm about to go in. because we force these stuff on these young people. It's like they weren't taught. It wasn't downloaded into them. It was just forced. It was just thrown onto them. And because it was thrown onto them, they carry it because they thought they didn't have a voice. They carried it, they didn't have a voice. They've asked several questions. It was not answered. But until they have gotten to the place where they have a personal relationship with God, then you see where they are doing things differently. Now, I'm not saying that every young people are doing things the right way. But based on what I've seen and heard, when they have now built a personal relationship, it is no longer what my family said, and they're no longer serving God at a place where my family said I should serve him, or my pastor said I should serve him, or my pastor said I should do this, or my pastor said I should do that. They're not serving the God of their family anymore. They're not serving God of their pastor anymore. They're serving God for themselves because they have built a personal relationship with God. And because they have built a personal relationship with God, they begin to do things differently that are not in the standards of. So now because they're doing things differently, they're condemned. They say that they backslide. They say they do this. They say they do that. That's not the way to go. I'm just praying that we get to a place and our leaders begin to understand what our young people are faced with. As for me, God has given me literally the unction to function to the place where I know where I stand. And I'm also in this generation, but I know where I stand and where God has called me to. But at the same time, I can go to the level of my youths, understand them from their level, deal with them from their level. And once I've had them stabilized in a way where they understand the word and they know themselves and they know their voice, then I can bring them up to my standard. You have to do that. Because when you force things on these young people, it makes you feel like if they don't have a voice. If they're asking you a question, no question is stupid. Even though it may seem like it, but no question is stupid. No question is, oh, this is a dumb question. If they ask you a question, answer them. And sometimes we don't even have to bring up the Bible, the scripture. Let me tell you something. These young people know the scripture. These young people know the word. And why I say that? Because it is always the answer that is given to them. Sometimes the young people just want you to be real. And I believe 100%. that a lot of things that our young people are faced with right now, it wouldn't have been so if some of our leaders were real with them. But when you go to them and say, pastor or evangelist, I'm struggling with my flesh, the first thing you hear in the apostolic church is to go take a shower or to go pray. Back in the days, that used to work for you guys. That used to work for y'all, and that's okay. But in this generation, the warfare is intensified, okay? It's real. It's real. It's get to understand what we're dealing with. Get to understand what the young people are dealing with. Don't let everything be about the scripture. Yes, I'm not telling you to put the scripture aside, but everything is not about the scripture. We just want y'all to be real with us. And a lot of you, and this is why people, we've heard it in the church so many times, that the testimony of the people are so important. Because, and the thing too, when a sister or whoever, when a church sister or a young lady have a child of wedlock, right? She had sex before she get married, she get pregnant and stuff like that. We tend to apply pressure on the female rather than the male when it has to be two-person that is involved, right? But then again, sex is a topic that is not discussed in the church. Oh Lord, this is a whole nother topic. I have to do another thing on that. But sex is a topic that is not taught in the church. We make it seem like it's a bad thing. And let me tell you something. When we enter into high school, middle school, all these school, college, that's what we're gonna find out. So you withdrawing important topics and having discussion and teaching the young people these stuff, and then when they actually fall into traps and they fall into other stuff and you see them reacting a certain way and they get entangled into this and they get entangled into that, then you're ready to condemn them. It doesn't work like that. You failed and I'm going to say this with all respect, I believe that any person who or a leader that refuse to have even parents that refuse to have a conversation with your children or the young people about certain topics such as sex, marriage, and stuff like that, those important hot topics that you refuse to speak about, but when they end up in a trap or, being tricked by the enemy or, stuff like that, and now you see the evidence, you fail. You fail as a leader and as a parent, because it is your responsibility as a shepherd and as a parent to teach the young people and to teach your children these stuff. If you have done this and you have taught them, then you have done all that you can as a shepherd and as a leader over them and as their parent. But if you refuse to have this conversation, then who are you to condemn anybody when you did not even... I just don't know why we refuse to have conversation about sex in the church. But we are so quick to condemn somebody when they get pregnant out of wedlock. Okay. So I agree. Instead of coming to us and forming a relationship and understanding where we're at and knowing where we're at so that you can guide us and teach us accordingly, no, you condemned us. And I do agree with what she said as well, that some of the churches do not cater to the young people. It is more than having a youth department. It's more than having a youth ministry. It's more than just having the name, right? It's more to that. And also, as she mentioned, it's not equipped to the change of time and what the young people go through and what the young people face. Let me tell you something. Once I've started the ministry on Christian Journey Ministry, I have heard of so many stories and so many things that young people are going through that I feel like a lot of you leaders will fall down. Like you will have a heart attack. Because when they were talking to me, I was like, oh, I can't do this. This is heavy. I can't manage this. And I had to literally stand strong just to hear what they're saying. So many of our young people are being sexually harassed. There's just so many stuff. But I feel like it's very important for our leaders to build a relationship with our young people, where they can come to you and talk to you. And this may seem like, okay, we blame the leaders for everything. I am by no means blaming any leader for anything. I am just speaking facts. Being a pastor and being a leader is not easy. I'm a leader myself. Imagine being a pastor or a pastor wife or a minister, an elder. It's a lot. It is a lot. I know the task. I know it all. It is a lot. But at the same time, I feel like if you're going to say yes to what God is telling you to do, say yes. Put things in place. Put leaders in place to address and to deal with the young people on this level. Put you leaders and you pastors into a position where they would give the young people their time, who just don't want the title, but is willing to see a change and willing to understand where the young people are at and being able to provide and give them resources to be a better version of themselves. Listen, y'all, there's way too much stuff that is going on, and our young people need you. And I'm going to end the video right here because it's already long and I'm not going to edit it. But we'll be doing a part 2. So stay tuned for part 2. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. But my heart is aching for our young people today. Thank you for watching.